Very good morning. Welcome to the next session of Module 2. And we left in the previous lecture, that is, we have discussed the need of materials, need of new device structures in terms of scaling and why scaling is needed. But in today's lecture, I will discuss. I will enter into the new domain, that is the nanoscaling, CMOS scaling, and we will discuss the following points. That is nanoscale effect, approaches of nanofabrications, our expectation, and constant electric field scaling. Electric field scaling. This is a very important part of the scaling. This is a type of the scaling. So I will enter that point. But before doing that, I will discuss that is nanoscale effect. Okay, so we are nothing but do the scaling in the nano range and what will be the effect. Okay, so first I will discuss the first point, that is nanoscale effect. And whenever we start scaling, some physical properties themselves changing. It is very obvious. Whenever we start scaling, there will be a change. Where there will be the change? In the physical properties, right? Everything. Whenever we will start scaling, there will be a change in the physical properties, right? And you see, for example, we have been building the chips and silicon as a substrate, as I have already discussed, right? So where will be the change? Where will be the change? Where will be the characterizations in terms of material and in terms of device, right? So I have already discussed the material and device structure. So characterization will be based on these two only. So first it will be material characterization. Material characterization. And material characterization means whenever you start scaling, there will be a change in dimension. I am just discussing all the video lectures in just like a story. Okay. So please treat it as a story. Please think it of your own. Please use your own language to everything for explanation. Nothing else that to copy from my notes, from my PDF, from my video lecture. Please think it of your own. I think that you will understand the better if you think it in your own way, right? So material characterization means there will be a change in dimension, there will be a change in composition, and there will be the change in strains, because it's a mechanical property. So significant impact on the device. Due to this, the significant impact on device, right? Okay, so this is your material characterization. And if I discuss the device characterization, it will be, yes, we can discuss the electrical property, we can discuss the sustainability, reliability, everything. So electrical property means I to V, C to V, another parameter that is reliability, everything. So these are nothing but the electrical property. And reliability means that whether we are making this device, it will be reliable after 10 years or after 20 years. It will it be there or not? Whether we will use this device after 10 years, after 20 years. So we have to focus on this reliability part, on this sustainability part, that whether it will be sustained or not, right? So this is a very important factor. This is reliability. And due to and in order to increase the reliability, we have to do the changes in the device accordingly. Okay, so we will discuss all these aspects one by one, right? And how it is changing, that will be focused in our in my video lecture, right? So it's a very detailed portion. I am again saying that it's a very detailed portion. You only know the key points, that where it is changing, where it is characterization, and in the material and in terms of device, nothing else, right? Okay, and then I am coming to the next part, that is approaches of nanofabrication. Approaches of nanofabrication. In your module 2 of nanoelectronics syllabus, you must see that the module 2 is starting with one word, that is shrink down approach, top down approach, right? So this belongs to these approaches of nanofabrication. What kind of approaches we will use, and we have to know the detail of the approach. That will be our next part. But today I will discuss that what are the approaches will be used, and there are so many approaches that on these the research is going on. Not so well-known approaches are there that I will also focus that what on the approaches the research is going on, right? And the approaches of nanofabrication, there is a very well-known approach is top-down approach. Top-down approach or shrink-down approach. And what does it mean? If you start from the device, you have to make which device? Yes, nano device, right? And reverse is also possible with some another technique. So here we will start from the device, but we have to make a nano device. But the reverse is also possible, that starting from the nano device, we can make a larger device. Okay, but this technique is known as atoms up or additive process. Additive process, this means that the atoms are added together to get the new device. Okay, but we have till now no so-called approaches of this because the research is going on this process. So it is not your area of interest. I am just sharing for your knowledge, but the research is going on, and if there is if the research is successful, it will be a disruptive technology, right? But our interest is this one, that starting from a large device we have to make a small device, right? Of large scale device theke we have to make a small scale device, right? So if it is additive, we can say that it is a subtractive process. But how you have to subtract each and every parameter, that is our point of discussion. Okay, and why it is called top-down approach? Because we are coming from top to the bottom, right? And why it is called shrink-down approach? Because you have to shrink this device. You have to make the dimension smaller from larger. Okay, so what is our expectation? Our expectation is nothing but the thorough understanding of each and every scaling issues of the CMOS, understanding the process flow for nano CMOS, and understanding the need for that thing that I have discussed, that is understanding the need for new materials and device structure for future use. So it is our very basic key point, that is understanding the need of new material and new device structure for future. Okay, and that cannot be obtained without scaling, right? Okay, and one important thing, that expertise in material synthesis and characterization. This is a very important part of your nanoscaling or nanofabrication, right? So these are the very basic points that we have to study in detail. Okay, now coming to a very important part, that is our topic today, that is scaling. Okay, and I will discuss the first type of scaling, that is constant electric field scaling. Very, very important, constant electric field scaling. Very important, right? This is the first type of scaling. Is it visible? Yes. So now discuss the constant field scaling and why it is so. So I must have the structure, that is What kind of drawing I have written over here? This is a structure and this is another structure. But this is a big transistor and this is a small transistor, right? So how it is obtained? This is a miniature version. How it is obtained? This is obtained through the technology of scaling and using the scaling factor of K. The scaling factor that we will use for scaling, it is denoted by K. But whether it will be increase the dimension, whether it will decrease the dimension, that is the discussion, that is the point of discussion, and that I will coming to the point, that I will come to the point, the very key points on focusing points and how the scaling is done, that I will come. Okay, but you must know that what is the objective of scaling in order to get the miniature version of any kind of device, and how it is obtained. This is nothing but the technology of the scaling. Okay, so this constant field scaling, it provides three fundamental guidelines, and based on these guidelines you will understand very easily that how scaling is happening. Three fundamental guidelines. Today I will discuss one guideline, but in the next lecture I will discuss more because I want to teach you in very detail. Okay, so three fundamental guidelines, and that is also known as primary scaling guidelines. Clear? Primary scaling guidelines. These are very basic guidelines. That means for the transistor, scale all the linear dimension. This is our first primary scaling factor, first primary scaling guidelines. Okay, so I must say that scale all linear dimension is a very important point. Scale all linear dimension. Okay, so coming to that point, that how scaling is done. I think it's visible. Linear dimension. Okay, linear dimension. Please try to understand because it's a very important factor. That is, I think it's visible. That is the length. Okay, length is before going to the length, I must say it will be very easier for you. That is a primary scaling factor. Primary scaling factor. What are the factors are there that can be scaled? Okay, with the scaling factor, that is K. So whenever we are designing the MOSFET, I must draw the structure once again. I will draw in later also. Drain, this is source, this is substrate, P-type substrate. Okay, where the scaling can be done. So first one, this is T-ox. T-ox means oxide thickness. This one, the width, oxide thickness. Second one is L, length. This is the length. Then W is the width. Where this is width, I will come to the point. Just know the parameter first. And XJ means the doping region. I will come to the point. Just know the parameter first. This is scaled by the factor 1 by K. This is a very basic guidelines. This is it visible? This is a very basic guidelines. You have to know, otherwise you can't do the scaling. Okay. Next, NA and ND. This is scaled by the factor K. Now, what is NA and what is ND? I think it is very known to you. That is acceptor concentration and donor concentration. Or in general, I can say that this is doping concentration. Right? Third one is VDD. VDD means the supply voltage, and that is scaled by the factor 1 by K. So these are the very basic guidelines you have to know for any scaling of the device, and these all are the linear dimensions that are going to be scaled. Okay, you must tell that you must say that these are the very basic formula of scaling. Please keep it in mind that without this formula we can't do the scaling, so we have to follow these guidelines that is already given, right? Okay, so this is your oxide thickness and this is your L, this is your W, everything. So I now get to know that why these parameters are noted. Please this is visible. Okay, please see the structure. I think that it will be very clear to you. This is insulating layer, means SiO2. This is gate terminal. This is N plus, and this is your W. This is your W. Please mind it. This is your W. This is your L, and this is your T-ox. And if this is a P-type substrate, okay. Another part I will come to the point. So this is nothing but an N-channel MOSFET. A very basic structure. This is the N-channel MOSFET, and where there is oxide thickness, there is a length, there is a width, W, everything are the linear dimension, and that will be scaled by the factor 1 by K. Supply voltage can be also scaled down by 1 by K, right? But we are saying that these all belongs to your constant electric field scaling. Now please come to the point, but why it is called constant electric field scaling? This is a very, very interesting part. Please concentrate to my lecture that why it is called constant electric field scaling, and you have to you must have the knowledge of the electronic device that you have already studied, right? Okay, so now I will focus the discussion that why it is called constant field scaling. Why it is called constant field scaling? So we must have the formula of electric field, that is denoted by epsilon, and or E. It is very basically E, but not epsilon, because epsilon is another parameter that is permittivity. So if it is E is nothing but V by D, or it can be denoted by voltage, the ratio of voltage by distance. If it is electric field, this is voltage and this is distance. But this kind of scaling is known constant field scaling. Why it is so? Because voltage is scaling by the factor 1 by K. So voltage by K and distance means L is also scaling by the factor 1 by K. And so voltage by K and distance by K, so electric field becomes constant. There is no change on electric field. So that's why it is called constant electric field. I must say that V by K and L by K. So it's nothing but V by L. Okay, so there is no effect of your electric field. That's why it is known as constant electric field, right? And we have said that this Na and Nd, this is nothing but your acceptor concentration or donor concentration, or in general the doping concentration. And doping concentration can be scaled in terms of K. So it will be grow up. It will be grown up, because we have to add impurity. We can't do the subtraction of the impurity. We have to always add. So that's why it is increasing by the factor of K. Right? Okay. So all are done by photolithographic process that will be discussed in the later part. Okay. So these are the fabrication part that I will discuss the later part. But you have to know that the technology is used over here, that is photolithography process. Right? And another thing that is a very important thing, that is a depletion region width. Depletion region width, that is denoted by WD. You must recall that depletion region. Where you study depletion region? In the diode, PN junction diode, right? Because based on the width of the depletion region, we decided that whether it is forward bias and whether it is reverse bias. If it is forward bias, there will be more current. That means the depletion region width will be very small, and if it is reverse bias, there is a very little current. That is the depletion region width is very high, right? So where it is depletion region, how can we denote in terms of FET, MOSFET? Because this is a p-type substrate now, and this is your n plus region, this is n channel. So this p and n is nothing but acting will be a diode, so there must be a depletion region. And where will be the depletion region? This portion, this is a depletion region, and that is the width that is denoted by WD. Okay, so WD can also be calculated because it is also known to you. You have already studied in the electronic device that is WD is nothing but 2 epsilon SI into V divided by Q into NA. This epsilon means this is the permittivity, this is the voltage, this is the charge, and this is the acceptor concentration. Okay, so this V is scaling by the factor 1 by K. This NA is scaling by the factor K. Right, so what will be this? So what is this? If it is V by K and this is KNA, so what is this? 2 epsilon S into V divided by Q into NA into K square. So it is nothing but 1 by K root over of 2 epsilon S V divided by Q into NA. So this is here also this electric field is constant. This is constant electric field scaling. Right, please recall this section that you have already studied because the numerical may come from this section. Okay, so what is the derived device behavior that we have already discussed? So it is electric field, that is 1. We can say it 1 because this is constant, no change is happening. This V, it is scaled down by V by K. This is I, it is also by I by K. And another parameter, that is capacitor. Capacitor is also C by K, is scaled by the factor 1 by K. But how? Because capacitor is the most important factor. It is also known to you because capacitance is known as epsilon 0 into epsilon R into A divided by D. But if it is scaled down, A means 1 by K square, length into width, and this is D, so 1 by K square, here it is 1 by K, right? So K by K square means 1 by K. So I must say that this is 1 by K square and this is 1 by K. So this is nothing but 1 by K into K by K square. Yes, the epsilon 0 epsilon R into A by D. So it can be scaled down by C by K. We don't know whether it is depletion capacitance, whether it is parallel plate capacitance, but we can calculate the scaling factor in terms of capacitance in this way. Right? So let's look at the circuit behavior where we took but here we talk about the CMOS circuit, and CMOS circuit we can say that it can be a capacitive circuit. Because there is, if we think about a simple inverter circuit, there is a 1 and there is a 0. So if we connect the capacitance, there will be charging and there will be discharging. Simple way. But how it is happening? Circuit behavior. It's a very simple circuit of CMOS. I have already shared the lecture notes of that, and this is V out, this is input. Okay, so if it is 1, if it will be 0, if it is 0, it will be 1. So if it is 0 means the NMOS is off, PMOS is on. So if we connect a capacitor over here, it will be charging towards the VDD. And same thing, if there is a capacitor and if it is 1, then the PMOS will be off, NMOS will be on. So this capacitance will be discharged towards the ground. So we can say that it's a capacitive circuit, right? And this output can also be used to drive the next stage of the device, right? But how long it will switch from on state to off state? Okay, so basically we are talking about the switching speed. Yes, the switching speed. because we have to scale down the device. We are scaling down the device, but we will focus on the speed. We have to get the circuit that a very efficient circuit, and the speed will be high. Because due to the scaling, we can't compromise with the speed, we can't compromise with the efficiency. We have to look after each and every parameter that was that are the very basic requirements from any circuit. So we have to think about its switching speed, and it's a very important. Okay, so whenever we see that the input is changes from 0 to VDD and from VDD to 0, so there is nothing but the switching case, and it will be happening very in short of very less time. So the switching speed will be very high. So if we think about this, we can draw this circuit, input output relationship. This is your V in and this is your V out. So if it is 0 to 1, if it is 0 to 1, your output will be from 1 to 0. Sorry, your output will be from 1 to 0, right? But the main thing is that there can be a propagation delay, and that is denoted by T of PD. So this is our point of interest. In order to get a very high speed, we will do no compromise with this propagation delay. Propagation delay will be very small. But how can we do that? How it is happening? Let's see. In CMOS propagation delay, is denoted by this tau is equal to nothing but CV by I. Okay, so C means the capacitance that you are switching. Is charging and discharging, and is visible. Okay, so capacitance, so C is nothing but the capacitance, V is nothing but the voltage that is going from 0 to VDD or VDD to 0, and I is nothing but the current for charging and discharging the capacitor through the transistor, right? How much current is flowing due to this charging and discharging of the capacitor. Okay, so if tau equal to CV by I, so C we have already discussed that how it is scaled, what is the scaling factor for capacitance, for voltage and for current. But we have discussed, if we go to the previous section, we can see that these capacitance can be, we can write that this tau equal to C by K, if it is scaled down, C by K, and this V will be also equal to V by K, and this I is also equal to I by K. So it is nothing but tau will be equal to tau by K. If it is scaled down, if we scale the device, what will be the effect on propagation delay? So if we take the circuit 90 nanometer and make it to 60 nanometer, the circuit goes faster. So no need to redesign your circuit. Okay, got my point? So if it is scaled down, your propagation delay will be less, and if we take the circuit of 90 nanometer and make it of 65 nanometer, your circuit will go faster. So no need to redesign your circuit. Okay, so there will be a lot of system level architecture, a lot of circuit engineering part that is behind of the scene, and but we think it in a way that if we scale down the scale down the device, your device will be faster. Your device will be faster, right? So tau will be equal to tau by K, right? So if we take the large dimension device, if we make it a small dimension device, but your circuit will be faster, right? So this is not the end of the story. Beside that, there is a power, there is another factor, another important factor that will be discussed in my next lecture. So till then, please go through line by line. Please derive each and every point that I have already discussed in my video lecture. Please do it your own way. Please think it your own way. I think that all will be easier because nothing complexity is there, nothing harder part is there. So everything, please think in your own way. I think that it will be understandable. Okay, so for next lecture, please stay tuned for the next lecture where the other parameters will be discussed for the scaling part, right? So till then, continue this session. Thank you so much.